Well, Elon Musk firing another high-profile Twitter employee. This time, it's Twitter's Deputy General Counsel, Jim Baker, who's getting the axe. Prior to joining Twitter under the previous management team, Baker served as FBI General Counsel and played a key role in the now debunked Russian collusion investigation.
So that's his background. Then he moved on to Twitter. Well, journalist Matt Taibbi, who shared documents related to Twitter's censoring of the Hunter Biden laptop story last Friday, revealed on Tuesday that it was Baker who had vetted the files prior to Twitter releasing them to Taibbi. Upon learning this, Musk fired off the following tweet, saying, in light of concerns about Baker's possible role in suppression of information important to the public dialogue, he was exited from Twitter today. So another shakeup at the social media platform. With us now, attorney for President Trump, Alina Habba. Alina, welcome. Thanks for coming on. What do you think of this latest development in the case of the Twitter files?
I think it's quite interesting. I think it's telling. I did watch Mr. Baker in the Durham trial myself in Washington a few months ago. I'm not sure your viewers know this, but he was actually an individual that worked for the FBI. He was part of the Russiagate, Russia hoax with Sussman and Perkins Coie, and then he got transferred and got a new job out of the FBI at Twitter. So then they take the same individual that helps the DNC, works with the DNC attorneys, goes to Twitter and helps them. They're flagging Twitter feed that they don't want and they want to censor. It's a really frightening thing for American people because we're not really seeing what is and is not the truth when somebody decides what they want you to see, right? So it's disappointing, but I'm glad that we're learning about it now.
Yeah, we're learning a lot about Twitter this week with these Twitter files. Take a look at this other tweet from Matt Taibbi here. Taibbi, of course, the one who's bringing all of this to light, revealing how Twitter censored and even suspended users who commented on the New York Post's 2020 Hunter Biden laptop story. By 2020, requests from connected actors to delete tweets were routine. One executive would write to another, quote, more to review from the Biden team. The reply would come back handled. In tweet 22 of the thread, Taibbi writing this, in part, there's no evidence that I've seen of any government involvement in the laptop story. Alina, crazy words. I mean, really an indictment on the Biden White House.
Listen, I had a case, as we know, that was related to all of this. There was, when it was a Trump issue, when it was Russia hoax, when it was Hillary Clinton's campaign, Hillary Clinton, we filed a lawsuit and it was dismissed very publicly and said that there was no merit. There were indictments there. We've got clear evidence of suppression and bipartisan censorship. It's not right. It's very un-American, and it's frustrating to see. The question is not, okay, so we see what happened in the past, but what are we going to do about it in the future? That's what I'm worried about. What are we going to do about it for the American people so that we can have a venue where we can learn what is actually going on in Washington, and can we trust politicians? It's incredibly frightening for me. Honestly, as an attorney, I would like to say that we could sue, you go to court, but even the justice system and the judges right now, I've seen some real corruption and divisiveness that shouldn't be happening in the legal system.
I understand you want to look ahead, right? And prevent this from happening behind the scenes in future elections. A lot of people rely on social media to get their news. Clearly, this story was not available to folks who wanted to read about it from the New York Post Twitter account, as we saw. But your client wants to look back. At least that's what it appears, right? When he's calling for sort of a redo of the election, termination of the Constitution at points, and calling everything so fraudulent there. Is that out of step with how you're viewing it? Again, obviously, you can't just undo what happened.
Right, so I'm not, listen, my client is my client, and my client feels very wronged, clearly. And the more that evidence comes out, he sees that what he had been saying, there was truth to it that he didn't know, and that's very disappointing. But do I think there's something we can do about it today? No, I don't. I think that we need to look forward. I look forward. I know as an attorney, you know, it's like a statute of limitations. To me, statute of limitations has moved on. We should look forward and try and fix the problem moving ahead, fix election problems in Arizona, try and take a look at why these issues keep happening, and find a way to seamlessly secure it so that there can't be anybody feeling like they were wronged, so that that narrative can die in this country and we can actually believe in our electoral college and all of those things that were the bedrock of this country. And that's personally what I would like to do.
Alina, got to get your reaction to this news of the Trump organization now being found guilty on this executive tax dodge scheme. I think we have a piece of sound we'd like to play and get your reaction.
Sure.
As jury addresses indicated, this was a case about lying and cheating, false documents to the end of evading taxes for the benefit of individuals and the corporations.
We'll certainly be appealing, of course.
So your reaction to this, Donald Trump not charged in this case, but the Trump organization, what does this mean moving forward for them?
Well, this was not the Trump organization. This was the Trump Corporation. So we should be clear on a couple of things. Trump Corporation, Trump payroll tax, it's a different entity. So many large companies have different entities. Unfortunately, and I say this as somebody who truly cares about a lot of the individuals that work at the Trump Organization. I've had the pleasure of working by them, with them, and for them for almost 2 years now. But I can tell you that this is the problem when you have a person who has shown greed. And greed happens in a lot of companies. We've seen it time and time again. It is not a Donald Trump problem. It is not a Trump Organization problem. It's an American human problem. And unfortunate for the people that work there that do their jobs and do it correctly. This happened, and you know, there was a admission of guilt. Unfortunately, he was in a C-suite position, as we know, in the organization. But he also said that he was doing it for himself. I think the jury got this one wrong. I think that, again, we see sometimes that they see the Trump name involved, and the internal animus that people have because of their politics or because of views that they have, or something that is unrelated, just tends to seep in. That's the issue with juries sometimes. Although we charge them, we try and get them to be neutral, things happen. But I will say, look, Alan Weisselberg did what he did. He admitted what he did, but he wasn't doing it for the benefit of the organization. Quite honestly, on the contrary, it would have been better for the organization had he done it otherwise and gone through payroll and all those things. They would have had the benefit, but that's not what he did, and the chips fell where they were. But I know they'll be appealing it. It was a long deliberation. I don't think it was an easy decision, but I don't think they came out correctly on this one.
You know, this isn't the only sort of legal challenge that Donald Trump, the Trump name, is facing. This one's more specific to Donald Trump moving forward. It's the trial set by the New York Attorney General Letitia James, that $250 million lawsuit against the former president there. Based on the ruling, I know they're separate cases, right? We understand that, but still a New York jury pool. Any chance that you'd be viewing, the former president would be viewing this upcoming case differently, now a bit more apprehensive, considering the outcome of this most recent ruling?
No, not at all. I mean, that would be saying that because of this recent ruling, Donald Trump should be afraid of going in front of a court in New York. I can assure you that Donald Trump was afraid of going in front of a court in New York long before this. He can't, it's not a fear issue. It's more of a, can he get a fair shake in New York? I don't think the answer is yes, and that's unfortunate. Now, I have been able to overturn the Southern District of New York during the appellate process, but why should any individual have to go through that expense and that trial to get out of the New York system and have an appellate division look at this with a fair eye? This is what keeps happening. Now, let's talk about the AG case, because that one is actually my case. I know very, very well and intimately. But that case has never been, no commercial transaction case, no commercial real estate case should not be in the commercial division. It is in a completely wrong division to start with. It's in the same division that was handling the investigation. That's the first problem. We've been fighting and trying to appeal that because this is the first of its kind. But again, in New York, Trump name, you're going to be treated differently. I would love to see a world where, yes, he has to go answer questions, fight fights, and go on trials. That's fine. But at least let it be fair and let it be impartial. That is what we're supposed to have. So instead, they're fast-tracking it. And I have never in my 15 years seen any case go this fast in New York where they're fast-tracking it for October. It shows political motivation. It frightens me for this country. And for New York, listen, if you're in real estate in New York and you are dealing with values with sophisticated lenders and you're going to say that my property is worth $10 million, they're going to say my property, no, we think it's worth $8 million. That's a normal transaction, and they definitely weren't relying on anybody. There was no damages. They made money. They made a lot of money. The whole scenario, it doesn't make sense, and it's very much in line with a lot of the litigation that I have to handle for him.
Mega Inc. advisor and attorney for President Trump, Alina Habba. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
A little preview of what we might expect in October. Again, coming up. Okay, Alina Habba, thank you very much. Appreciate it.